Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into how nonprofits can take all those numbers they track, volunteer hours, funds raised, and turn them into a really powerful story that proves they are making a real difference.
This is the big one, right? It's a challenge for pretty much every nonprofit out there. You feel it. You know in your bones that you're doing good work. But how do you actually prove it to donors, to your board, to the world? Well, the answer, as we're about to see, is all about tracking the right stuff.
And this really gets to the heart of it. This isn't just about paperwork or checking boxes. Measuring your impact is literally how you speak the language of value. It's how you build that rock-solid trust that fuels everything your mission sets out to do.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with why this stuff even matters. Then, we'll dive into how you can gauge your reach and engagement. After that, the really crucial part, proving your true impact. We'll also cover tracking your financial health, which makes it all possible. And finally, we'll wrap up with how to put all this data into action.
Okay, first up, gauging your reach. Before you can even start talking about the depth of your impact, you have to get a handle on the scale. Just how far does your work extend? These first few metrics help you see not just how many people you're connecting with, but how deep those connections really are.
So, think of this first batch of metrics, from the number of kids in your program to volunteer hours, as painting that big, broad picture. It answers those fundamental questions. Who are we reaching? How involved is our community really? And are people sticking around?
Take the number of children served. A literacy program that helps one kid, well, that's an amazing story. But a program that helped that one child as part of a group of 1,200 this year. Now that shows the incredible scale that donations are actually fueling.
But, and this is a really big but, we have to make a critical pivot here. Knowing how many people you serve is the foundation, for sure. But the real story, the one that truly inspires people to give, is proving how much you've actually changed their lives.
And that is the perfect lead-in to our second section, proving your true impact. This is where we go beyond just counting heads and start measuring real, meaningful change. This is where the story gets its power. In this slide, honestly, it illustrates one of the most important distinctions a nonprofit can make. An output is what you do, like serving 500 meals. But an outcome is the change you create, like a measurable reduction in food insecurity. Your supporters, your funders, they want to see outcomes. So the big question is, how do we measure those outcomes? Well, these 4 metric categories are designed to do exactly that. They completely shift the conversation from, so what did we do, to look at what we achieved.
Let's just zoom in on educational outcomes for a second. This isn't about counting the number of tutoring hours you provided. No, it's about answering the real questions. Did a student's GPA actually go up? Did their reading level get measurably better? And that means you have to get specific. So instead of a vague goal like, we want to improve literacy, you set a clear, measurable target, like this one. We will increase reading proficiency scores by 15 points. See, now you have a real benchmark for success. And that is exactly where the goal achievement rate comes in. A simple visual like this tells everyone, your board, your donors, your team, a story in about 2 seconds. It shows you don't just set ambitious goals, you have a plan to meet them and maybe even blow past them. It's pure proof of effectiveness. Of course, you can't deliver that kind of amazing impact if the lights aren't on, right? That brings us to our third section, financial health. This is the bedrock that makes everything else you do possible. A huge metric here is the fund utilization ratio. This chart is so powerful because it transparently answers the #1 question on every donor's mind. Where is my money actually going? Seeing that 75% goes directly to program services, that builds confidence and trust instantly. And so, the crucial takeaway here is that a healthy ratio, like that 75%, tells a story of responsible stewardship. It shows you have strong financial accountability and proves your organization is absolutely laser-focused on its mission. And here's another number that speaks volumes about your health, both financially and in the community, the donor retention rate. A figure like 70% is incredibly powerful. It means you're not just getting one-off gifts, you've built a real foundation of trust and a belief in your work that you can count on year after year. Okay, so you've collected all this great data on your reach, your impact, your finances. But what do you do with it? How do you actually turn those numbers into real, continuous improvement? Well, it takes a system. Now, the source material lays out some fantastic best practices, but these 4 are really the cornerstones of building a data-driven culture.
It all starts with training your staff on not just how to collect data, but why it matters. Then you build a rhythm of reviewing it monthly to spot trends early. Using dashboards helps turn that raw data into something you can act on. And finally, documenting your processes makes sure the whole system keeps working no matter what.
You know, when you boil it all down, this entire journey, from tracking reach to finances, it's all about one thing: defining your key performance indicators, or KPIs. It's about being deliberate. It's about choosing those few vital metrics that are tied directly to your unique mission, so you can be sure you're measuring what truly matters.
And that's really the big idea I want you to walk away with today. These metrics, they aren't just abstract numbers on a spreadsheet. They're the individual words, the sentences, that when you put them all together, they tell the compelling story of your nonprofit's impact on the world.
By picking the right metrics and tracking them with real intention, you're not just managing a program anymore, you're crafting a powerful narrative of change, a story that can inspire whole new levels of support and drive your mission forward. So the real question is, what story is your data just waiting to tell?